I am very late to the Yakuza party. Very late, like 20 some years late. But here I am, talking about what is now considered one of my favorite franchises probably ever. I just recently went on a really big Yakuza kick, being introduced not too long ago. This is how I got into it. So I was talking to my boy G about video games as usual. We were talking about games that we wanted to get. And I randomly told him about this anime style game that I wanted to try called Akiba Strip. It's like an anime beat 'em up, literally beat the clothes off of zombie girls or whatever the case may be in Tokyo. And I was telling him about it. He was already familiar with it. And he goes, why don't you just try Yakuza? Which he suggested to me a million times before as his favorite franchise of all time, pretty much. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to look it up. As you know, I looked it up, and he made a lot of good suggestions over the years. He said, hey, play Dragon Quest. Never played Dragon Quest before. Try Dragon Quest 11. It's one of my favorite games. Suggested a bunch of games to me. Persona 5. And, I was really playing a lot of long RPGs at the time. And I kind of chilled and dialed that back because of just time management and being a parent and having a life and stuff like that. So I just kind of just delegated my gaming to arcade-based fighting games, shoot 'em ups. And it's been a while since I played beat 'em ups. And my idea of a beat 'em up is like Streets of Rage, Double Dragon, Turtles in Time, and stuff like that. So, but the one reason why I was telling my boy G why I didn't want to play the Yakuza game is because I just kind of always shied away from like extreme violence in games. Like the most that I would do is like cartoon violence, Hadoukens, things like that, things that I know that are kind of fantasy based. I stay away from Call of Duty, maybe because of like Ulske, Udingshays, let's just say that, and things that kind of promote violence through weapons and anything. Life is whack as already. Life is already a struggle. There's already just things happening on your daily. So I like to kind of escape into a place that's kind of Crash Bandicoot-ish, Mario-ish, Sonic-ish. So I kind of stay in that kind of pocket when it comes to gaming. So when he shows me Yakuza and I'm like, oh, there's gonna be blood everywhere, I'm not gonna like that. There's no way. There's no way. I'm one of my favorite things. I like Kirby, and I like game design based around kind of cute characters or whimsical characters. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in the last 10 years is one of my favorite games of all time. Stay in the anime style. I know I'm playing something that's not realistic kind of pocket. That's where I usually stay. So I wanted to get Akiba Strip. I'm thinking about getting a physical copy. My boy G, again, reminds me of this franchise. And I end up getting a PlayStation 5. And when I get a PlayStation 5, I see all these, sales for games that I don't see prices for, $5 games on the Switch, which is the console that I've been playing for the last 7 years or so. So I'm seeing Yakuza 0. I see it was on sale for $4.99. And I hit up my boy G and I'm like, yo, I think I'm going to get it. It's cheap. It's right there. I kept asking the question like everybody does who gets into this franchise, where should we start? Should we start at Yakuza or Yakuza Kiwami? Because I did a little research, a little background, and figure out, there's different entries. Some people are starting with Like a Dragon, and some people want to start with the actual one. I said, let me go to the prequel. So I started with Yakuza 0. I had no clue what was about to happen to me as a gamer in general, just by playing this one game. Never heard of Kiryu. I understand that the backdrop and the literal story is about Yakuza in Japan, in Tokyo, Kamurocho, but the storytelling to me is by far some of the greatest gaming or just storytelling in general that I think I've seen in modern media. And I feel really sad that I'm this late to the party. I'm this late, and I'm just so in love, head over heels with this franchise. And fortunately and unfortunately, I've started with 0. And starting with 0 to me is great because it's literally in my top 5 video games I've ever played in my life. But I moved on. So far, I've played Yakuza 0, Kiwami, I just finished Kiwami 2, and now I'm currently playing Yakuza 3. Got through the first 3-4 chapters, and I felt compelled to make a video about how I'm reacting to being a newbie to the Yakuza franchise. Being on the heels of new announcements for Like a Dragon, whatever, Majima in the Caribbean or whatever, the pirate game. It looks amazing. And the success of Infinite Wealth and all the spin-offs and everything. It's just kind of like, I felt like it's time to, make a video how I feel about this franchise. And I know that I primarily focus on fighting games on this newish YouTube channel of mine. But this game franchise is just like, Yakuza 0 was so good that moving on to Kiwami, I thought this was great. It's solid. It's amazing. But Yakuza 0 was just phenomenal from beginning to end. I didn't have to know who Majima was in the older games to get a shock on his personality and story arc of how he came. I just enjoyed it 100%. I'm actually glad that I started with Yakuza 0 because it just gives me the linear story of these characters, and I'm getting all the Easter eggs moving forward from 1 to 2 and to now 3. I'm currently on Yakuza 3. I'm in Okinawa with Haruka and the orphanage and all the children and all the issues, and getting pulled back in once again to end up flying back to Kamurocho, which is where I am in the game right now. But the idea of going from the story being split between Kamurocho and Sotenbori, and then just, I can see in the original just Kamurocho, and then like how they keep expanding, and now Okinawa, and then just, the game change as far as graphical fidelity, and having 0 and 1 were amazing. Obviously with I guess it's the Like a Dragon engine or whatever they call it, but Kiwami 2 might be one of the most beautiful looking games I've ever played. And I have no problem dipping into the Yakuza Remaster Collection 3, 4, and 5. I'm on 3. It doesn't bother me one bit. I don't care. I'm not a graphics hog. I don't care that it doesn't look as good. I don't care that it's stiff. I don't care that it doesn't have as much capabilities when it comes to combat, or that it's a bit slow when the combat starts. I love everything about this franchise. Like, to me, it's a perfect franchise. And it reminds me personally about what I like about gaming. It lets you know that you're playing a game. Like, it doesn't look photorealistic. I think the way that they 3D model their characters is perfect. It's good enough to be of the current generations of gaming, but it also isn't like in an uncanny valley. Some people probably would say for the older ones, but I'm playing remasters and remakes, and I think it's a perfect level of what I consider like Sega graphics. Like, I like Virtua Fighter. I like games that don't try to necessarily simulate real life, but give you a feeling that you're playing something that's close to real life, but don't forget that it's a game. It's fun. It's funny. The karaoke, the side games, the humor is top tier. Even though culturally this is a game that was made for Japanese men, everybody who's a fan of the Yakuza franchise can obviously admit that when you're watching it, it's funny, it's nuanced, and you can understand it. I don't know if you have to necessarily understand Japanese culture. I've been watching anime most of my life with subtitles, just learning phrases, and I want to hear it in its natural state. But overall, it's even if it's a nuanced culture, anybody can get the humor, especially like a guy. It's like a guy humor. Like a guy's, this character's getting kicked in the nuts and his face is getting smashed against the side of a building. And there's something really funny and charming about their approach when doing that stuff. I'm not really a fan of, like I said, the Call of Duties and games where it's just harming people for no reason. To me, this is what the movie industry lost. And I suppose with movies like John Wick, like why some people still go after seeing a movie where it's not necessarily the greatest thing. It's not Citizen Kane. It's not, Gone with the Wind, but it's something that you can like sit back and really enjoy without having to think too hard. And even still, the storytelling is, like I said, I'm being repetitious, but the storytelling is top tier. They keep you involved. They make you care about the characters. They make you care about Nishikiyama. They made you care about the blind girl when it came to Majima. I forgot her name. Sorry. I'm trying to take my time with this franchise, but I've been speeding through it, literally finishing one game and then like the next morning popping in the next one, because I went on eBay and I saw a package of all the PS4 games, literally the whole Kiryu saga from 0 to 6, and I purchased that for like a $90, which they still have these bundles if you want to go out and check it out. And it's a cheaper version of getting all the physical versions of these games, the most up-to-date versions of these games. And I'm so happy I did that, because now I'm not really concerned about like what's going on with the Tekken 8 DLC. I'm not really considering what's going on with certain Switch games, which is coming to the end of its lifeline anyway. I'm just kind of fixated right now on the Yakuza franchise, so I can kind of catch up, maybe switch over to Lost Judgment, and then the man who erased his name. I've been going down the rabbit hole on YouTube, seeing my boy G just bought that one, the physical version of that. So now I'm on Play Asia looking up the man who erased his name with the English cover, and I'm totally in it, 100%. I want to catch up to the Like a Dragon variation, Yakuza 7, so they call it, and so on. These are the best games in the world right now to me. I'm not necessarily into sports gaming. I'm not necessarily into the so many of the Fortnites and the League of Legends and all these MMO and online games. I think these are like really good hardcover books that don't have too many pages, if I can summarize how I feel about these. And when you put them down, you got to tell somebody that you read it. The Yakuza franchise, it's so charming to see Sega win, because I grew up back in the day when my first console was an NES. Then me and my brother had Sega Saturn, PlayStation, Genesis, Super Nintendo. The last system before I took a 14-year hiatus in gaming was the Dreamcast, which is to this day my favorite console, still to this day. And one of my favorite games in my top 5 was, and still is, Shenmue. Never played Shenmue 2. Definitely didn't play Shenmue 3, which I plan on revisiting these things. I still have my Dreamcast. I still pop in Shenmue 1 here and there. And I know that there's some kind of like Genesis and connected lineage from, is it Sega M2 to the Ryoga, I never say it correctly, Ryoga Gotoku team. So I look at which I talk to my boy G about all the time when talking about this franchise, as Shenmue as some kind of like early precursor for the Yakuza franchise, which that's how he put it, and I definitely absolutely agree with that. I actually look at Shenmue as the precursor to modern gaming in general. The first Switch game that I really sunk my teeth into was which wasn't a Switch game originally, was LA Noire. And it's funny going back to Shenmue, when you're picking up things and you're looking and you're turning it with your hand, and all these things kind of, you go back to, the first time I seen that was Shenmue. But when I'm playing the Yakuza franchise, I can't help but think of Shenmue and how much I love that game, and the similarities in the realistic nature of going into a store and purchasing something, and which a lot of franchises do, but it's just a really, really, really unique way of simulating life, letting gamifying things. There's so many side games and mini games, and it's just like being able to go into Club Sega and play Virtua Fighter 2 or Virtual On, Space Harrier. I think that these are some of the smartest things implemented in gaming, and it's obviously been happening for over 20 years, and here I am late talking about it, being excited like it's brand new, but it's brand new to me. I'm not into the tier list thing. I've watched some of them. I've seen people put Yakuza 0 in an S tier, and they put Yakuza 3 and 5 in a B or a C. I think that this whole thing is kind of like, it reminds me of like the Harry Potter franchise. If somebody says, what's your favorite Harry Potter movie? I'm like, it's all the best, because it's all one story. And I think that's something that's also unique, is that you could start anywhere in the franchise, but as far as the Kiryu saga and me experiencing this the last few months and really sinking my teeth in, it's like it's one story. When I'm in Okinawa with the children at the orphanage, there was a long history on how we got here, and then there's a long history after what happens here, and constantly reinstituting characters that you thought might have died, or characters that were good who are now bad, or characters that left and that kind of show up to help you. These things kind of make it all one game to me. And I think that's also another thing that is done in a much better way than a lot of other franchises. Seeing Sega go from being a failed company that couldn't do consoles anymore, which made me sad to see Sonic on a Mario game when I was on my hiatus, and seeing Sonic on the Wii made me sad that they were like losing the war. But now looking up, Sega is on fire right now. Right now, they're doing things that I think Nintendo wishes they could do. That's just me personally. From Atlas, the Persona series, ReFantasios coming soon. There's a whole new wave of Crazy Taxi 3 and that whole thing that we've seen in these presentations. Sonic is just on a roll, from movies to spin-off games, side games, anime. And in a way we've never seen. It's almost like Sonic is more, having 3 children, I can say Sonic is more popular than Mario. Way popular than Mario right now. I had to show my children the Super Mario Bros. Movie on Blu-ray for them to get like halfway excited about him. And they play for a little bit, but they kind of always go back to it. And it's something about that Sega symbol that makes me excited to see them kind of thriving in the software space, and that they don't have to make consoles, and that the Yakuza franchise fans specifically will go wherever. If there's a Yakuza game on Apple Arcade, they'll go, and because I'll go. So I'm speaking up as a new really extreme convert to the Yakuza franchise, that it's again one of the greatest gaming experiences I've ever had. I'm on my 4th Yakuza game now. I have a few more to go to finish the Kiryu saga. I'm not rushing through it. I will do all the side missions and side stories. I'll go help that old lady get her husband out of the strip club or whatever random things that happen in Yakuza. I'll help that kid get his video game back from someone who stole it, which is also just another have you ever played a game that you couldn't wait to play, and when you get sidetracked with a sub story, you were happy about it? I didn't 100% any yet. I got really close with Yakuza 0. I got so into like selling real estate and buying up the whole block on the game. I had to move on to Kiwami, but it's the little things in these games that kind of make them a rare treasure. And I think the other game development companies, especially on the big side like Nintendo or whoever, could take a few more notes from the Yakuza Like a Dragon franchise book. If you're not into it yet, like I was a year ago or 5 months ago, and you're thinking about playing something different and something that you think that you can believe in and something that you can become a full-time fan of, try the Yakuza series. Go get Yakuza Kiwami. Go get Yakuza 0. Try it out. It's just one of the greatest. You're not gonna regret it. I started to get burnout from Switch, and Switch coming to an end, and I played so many games. I feel like I'm back into gaming again because of Yakuza, and I appreciate my boy G for putting me down with it. You ruined me once again, and yeah, go get Yakuza and work your way up to the Like a Dragon portion of the series, just like I am. Leave a comment if you like the Yakuza series. If you love it, I'm sure you do. If you don't, keep it to yourself because I love it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you later.